So, first and foremost, I guess I'm wearing my sweater for this one, my brown sweater for this one. I didn't actually intend that. I actually was taking out some garbage earlier, but whatever. Point is, so you might have noticed that it's a different camera angle this time. Well, that's because I finally uh, swapped out the webcam. This thing was constantly giving me nothing but issues, so uh, I decided I wanted to replace it. So I got an actual camcorder. This is an actual camcorder that I'm using now. So instead of the thingy, instead of a webcam that doesn't know when to stop fucking around with the focus, I have a camcorder that seems to actually know what the fuck it's doing. So we'll see. I will of course know when we get to editing this thing, but yeah, the days of webcam shenanigans should be done now. So, as ever, my monitor is off because, I want to actually focus. So, a brawl in a small town, as the dub calls it. AKA what I mentally like to think of as an episode that didn't really need to be two parts, kind of. Mostly because part one, the only reason it's a two-parter order is the fact that Leon and Rebecca's duel doesn't conclude until the second episode, right? But I think you could have easily have put it all in one episode. Like you could have put it all in part two, and I think it would have just worked better. Have all of the Vivian stuff in part one, and then have the other stuff. Because again, we're continuing the whole let's tease the audience by having by not showing the duels like we should. Regardless of any of that, though, so this is an interesting multi. This is an interesting multi-part. This is an interesting two-parter, mostly in the fact that it's kind of ineffectual. And Rebecca goes back to being the worst part about this episode. Go figure. For the most part, this episode is pointless. The only thing that happens in this episode is Vivian fixes Grandpa's back. Heck, and that has him go missing, which I feel like you could have just had Yugi's grandpa come in. Yugi's grandpa kind of come in and and maybe even like talk to Vivian like, hey, right after Rebecca's duel, we'll come back and we'll we'll and I'll fulfill my promise, that kind of thing. But no, instead we have to have this fake drama of Yugi's grandpa having gone missing because as he's a perverted old man, which is what the sub posits. In the dub, it's literally just she owes him for fixing his back, which is mentioned in the sub, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, no. Oh. So part of the issue that I have with this episode is that it pretty much boils down to there's some interesting dueling with Rebecca and Leon. There's one good moment with Yugi's grandpa subplot, and it's in the dub, and that's it. Otherwise, this episode is ineffectual. Like I said, it doesn't amount to anything, and it kind of just feels like fluff, like padding. This is a filler arc, but even a filler arc can not feel like padding if you do it right, right? But then again, and I have been told multiple times that some things that I consider to be, padding are not actually padding. But then again, but what it ultimately boils down to in that sense is what is padding for you, right? So, for example, I could see somebody saying this entire arc is padding because it doesn't do anything. It doesn't move the story forward in any meaningful way, and it doesn't even entertain, right? The lore runner has talked about the 5 points of story, right? Which is what did he say it was? Plot, plot setting, characterization, development, and world building. Was it? I don't remember what the fifth one is, but I know the sixth one is fun. The unspoken one is fun. You know. Oh, themes. That was it. Sorry. That fifth one is not world building because world building would be in setting. Themes is the other thing. So, plot, setting, themes, characterization, character growth, right? Okay. We can go through all five of these and actually kind of think about it. Okay, so what's the plot? Some jackass wants revenge on Kaiba. Okay, we've done that before. Or okay, what's the setting? Heading. Well, it's the Yu-Gi-Oh world in general and Kaiba Land in specific. Okay, you could do something with that, right? Right. Set plot setting heading themes, right? What are the themes? Okay, well, it's usually growth and a belief in yourself. We could actually run with that until we have Joey be defeated in a stupid way. But let's not rant about that again. And then there's characterization and character growth. I would argue there's no real character growth in this arc, but there is characterization for the new characters, right? But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I'm just gonna go through the episode linearly, and we're gonna go ahead and just go through this. Starting with a point in my sub notes that I actually forgot to mention last week because I was too busy ranting about the stupid episode. There was one other thing that added to how much I fucking hated last week, but considering I forgot to even mention it last week, you can tell that wasn't the main problem I had with the episode. That the fact that it slipped my mind completely literally explains that this wasn't why the episode, excuse me, explains that this wasn't the reason why the episode failed. No, the episode failed because the episode was garbage, and its character assassinated Joey, and it made the gang look like fucking assholes, which is not character assassination because they've been assholes in the filler for uh the entire fucking show. So there's that. It, but yeah, no, it's irritating because it's dumb. It's straight up dumb. So there's that. But anyways, what do we what? But yeah, the thing I forgot to mention in particular was my favorite opening is now currently headlining the episodes and has been since Janochi versus Zeke Beautiful Duel, which was part one of Down in Flames. Flames, the two-parter we ranted about last week. Eek. When I saw that, I was fucking livid because I've always hated Down in Flames. I've always hated it since the first time I watched it. And obviously, I've been a mostly dub only watcher. I've only watched some scenes. I've basically watched some scenes in the Japanese version. I've never gone front to back. I mentioned this constantly during the season 1 stuff where this is the first time I've ever watched DM in the sub front to back. Heck. And I gotta say, it's been an interesting trip so far, especially with this two-parter, thanks to the sub being, in my opinion, fucking stupid. Stupid. And admittedly one awesome line, a couple of superfluous lines that were actually fucking awesome, and I wish the sub had them from a 10. We'll get there because of course I gotta talk about the way Vivian gets her ass kicked. I gotta talk about it because it actually ties into my real life experience with the actual card game, believe it or not. But we'll touch on that later. So so Kaiba's Kaiba's guys are trying to find stuff out about Siegfried. They find out about his dueling record, but they do not find out any personal info. And Kaiba's like, "Huh, that's strange. How the hell do they not know anything about him as a person?" Well, it's because he got into every duel with recommendations from politicians. That to me should be sending off alarm bells. If I was investigating that and every tournament had some level of politician, whether it be a governor or a senator or any of that, that giving letters of recommendation for this guy, this random guy, that would be a giant red flag for me. Like that would be a giant red flag of like, oh fuck, this guy's got political connections and can make politicians, dance to my tune. This guy can make politicians dance to his tune. That's not somebody you ignore. That's not somebody that you pretend is all hunky dory fine, right? No, that's somebody you pay attention to. Who? Period. Right? So Kaiba goes over the list of politicians. He picks out this one dude and it's like, okay, question him again. Tell him I've got a memo, right? He says in the dub, make him an offer he can't refuse, and I was just like, so Kaiba's using mafia tactics? But yeah, no, the memo is the memo is a better. It is more of a corporate threat, I would argue. Blech. Hair in my mouth. Blech. So the gang are still assholes to Joey. Joey's whimpering about his loss, which instead of encouraging him, being like, "Oh come on, Zeke's deck was just kind of overpowered," which is actually what Yugi tries to do. Tristan and Taya, aka Honda and Anzu, are just dicks about it. Note it. Will you grow up? There'll be other tournaments. Meh, 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 meh. Comfort him. Him. He went up against the Mary Sue deck and actually got some good hits in. Kiss my ass. I bitched about that last time. That was the oomph that dragged Down in Flames down to Rant View, by the way. And what ultimately made me decide this one was a D rank. Well, that and the Rebecca stuff in the sub dragged down this episode down from C to D rank, admittedly. So then Arthur comes in and is like, Yugi's grandpa's missing. Okay, cool. Cool. Uh, then then Rebecca encounters Leon in the miniature land, and that's why it's called a brawl in a small town, because the small town is literally small. It's literally a miniature set of miniatures, which is actually kind of fun. I like it in both versions. Rebecca's like, "Oh, I feel like a giant." It's kind of cute. I kind of like it. Okay, so then Arthur comes in and asks if Leon's friends and family are going to show up to cheer him on, and he's just like, no, they're too busy, but I'm used to being alone, and that catches Rebecca and Arthur's attention, which I kind of like. So then a bunch of younger fans kind of swarm around to cheer on both Leon and Rebecca, and I kind of like that. Admittedly, I think that's actually kind of sweet. And then their duel begins, and they use Dark Magician Girl's theme song again. I almost gave part one the point for the dub just for that, but that would be petty, so I did not. Part one got a neither. So the gang start looking for In the meantime, the gang start looking for Grandpa. They find a map that guides them to the Chinese restaurant. Gee, I wonder what horror, which horror is fucking behind this garbage. And then we get teased eased with the duels. Two duels are obviously happening in these semifinals, specifically Siegfried versus Mage Dude, who I don't remember the name of, and then Rebecca versus Leon. We don't see the Siegfried duel at all, but considering we got a good taste of Siegfried's deck in the last duel, I'm willing to let that slide this time. Less so with the fact that we barely see any of Yugi and Rebecca's duel, but whatever. So Leon starts using cards based upon fairy tales, which is actually very interesting. The wolf, the big bad wolf from Little Red Riding Hood, which, by the way, the dub actually makes a mistake. Hey, I know the big bad wolf is meant for the three little pigs, and that's why Leon says wrong story. But I could have sworn Big Bad Wolf was also used for the for Little Red Riding Hood, but I could be wrong. Specifically, it is the Little Red Riding Hood version. That's where Forest Wolf is from. That's actually why it's called Forest Wolf. Wolf, right? Because Grandma's house was in the woods. Moving on. So then Rebecca mentions that she in the dub specifically, Rebecca, and I do like that the sub Rebecca doesn't mention this. Rebecca says that she discarded fairy tales when she discarded her teddy bear. I know I've mentioned this before back in the virtual world arc, but that is stupid. Do not discard your childhood. Point blank. Do not grow out of reading comic books. Do not grow out of watching cartoons. Do not grow out of playing video games. I don't care what any fucking asinine boomer wants to fucking tell you. Do not fucking do that. This world is fucking shit, and you need something to escape from it. You might as well say movies should be discarded when you grow up, because it's the same fucking thing. And I know what you're saying, but Wolf, there are R-rated movies meant for adults. Uh huh. Yeah, exactly. Right? There are comic books that are made for older readers. There are animated shows that are meant for older audiences. There are video games that are rated M for mature. I could keep going. In my blunt opinion, discarding things from your childhood is not growing up. It's growing old. And I'm sorry, but we shouldn't be encouraging people to grow old the second they hit 18 years old. Especially considering the life expectancy of most people is usually at bare minimum 30 to 40 years past that point. Sorry for getting a little pissy about this, but I have had adults tell me that, and I kind of fucking hate fellow adults tell me that, and I hate that. It. Your childhood won't get you anywhere. Okay, whatever, boomer. I'll just keep talking into this webcam, or well, into this camera, and talk about how to show from my childhood. Never mind the fact that I am literally paid money, actual real world money, to play video games. Games for an audience. In fact, once I'm done wrapping up all of these Yu-Gi-Oh reviews, I'm going to be going back to that and actually playing games that I was paid for. I only took a break because, we had established that Trails takes precedent, which I don't think is going to be a thing anymore. We're just going to put it on like the docket, like at the end of a block or whatever, because Trails Beyond the Horizon is Trails Beyond the Horizon kind of broke me, and that's all I'm going to say for that. Because from your perspective, you aren't going to be seeing that for months at this point. Right, but just note from my perspective, recording this, which is actually going live, which is actually, or sorry, which is being recorded the day Down in Flames goes live. Last week's rant view. Last week's rant view has gone live today from my perspective, and I am indeed done with that. So that gives you a bit of perspective on when I'm recording this. But yeah, I just wanted to comment on that because I was like, God damn it. Is there anything else I wanted to mention? Oh yeah. There is one other thing that I want to mention. There's one other thing I want to mention with Rebecca's Duel. There's one card I want to talk about in Rebecca's Duel, and basically one card I want to talk about when it comes to the Vivian Duel. The card I want to talk about in regards to Rebecca's Duel is actually another card I used to use, Stamping Destruction. So the what it does is when you have a dragon on the field, it's basically it is basically an MST that requires you to have a dragon on the field. So even back in the early days of Yu-Gi-Oh, they were actually creating cards that had, activation conditions, costs, in other words. In this case, the cost being having a dragon on the field. So cool. So then, meanwhile, the gang gets to the Chinese restaurant, and a sneeze happens, or not. A sneeze pretends like it's gonna happen. It's pulling that, is it? But then, what else do we got here? So yeah, then Yugi opens the door. Note that it's Yugi that opens the door, not a Tem. It's funny because in the sub, Tem is just like, I guess we pretty much have no choice but to duel her because we can't leave your grandpa like that, Yeah, I'm sorry, other me. Hey, I kind of like that. Because it's kind of Yugi in the sub quietly acknowledging, yeah, Vivian's just a fucking whore. Or I don't want us to stick our dick in her. Please make it so that we don't have to stick our dick in her. Please. Please. And Tem's just like, got your back. Give me like 5 more. Give me like 10 more minutes, okay? Hey. Anyways, so they get in there here, and there's this whole big elaborate setup. The gang are apparently having their ears ringing because of the gong. Gongs are not that loud. They're loud, do not mistake me, but they are not that loud. Out. In the dub, they mention that dueling is against Kaiba's rules, which apparently is a dub only thing because in the sub, it's literally just a request is to duel Vivian. Sorry about that. Moving on. Uh, so then, in there's one more thing I should actually. There's a question I have to ask. Why the hell was this the episode they put all their fucking animation budget in, especially when they had an epic duel that started next episode? Like, what the hell? So then, then the gang get pissy at Grandpa because they consider her asking this favor on behalf of Vivian to be a betrayal. That only works if in the sub Grandpa was on board with the love slave thing. The Crunchyroll subtitles call it Love Servant, but I'm just going to call it what it is, Love Slave. If he was okay with the love slave thing in the Japanese version, then fine, that's a betrayal. That is betrayal. You guys should be calling it that and being as harsh as I'm no longer your student from Jinochi. If it's not, then fuck you assholes for being a fucking asshole to an old man. Now, what's funny is during Trails Beyond the Horizon, I actually mentioned about the whole respect is earned thing, and that just because you're old, well, doesn't mean I should immediately respect you just because you're old. That shit don't fly. Hey, but I'd like to think Yugi's grandpa has earned enough respect. Heck, that one little ask for a favor as repayment for fixing his back would not be a giant fucking betrayal. Hell, he's not even going against his family on that one when you actually sit back and think about it, because his back is fixed, and that means he can be there to cheer on his grandson and his friends. What in the unholy name of fuck is this nonsense? It's him overdoing it and throwing out his back is not a betrayal, but him having his back fixed and asking for Yugi to just simply play one card game is the biggest betrayal of all. Fucking bite me. It's not like he's asking Yugi to marry Vivian or even to have sex with her. He is asking Yugi to duel her. It's Vivian that fucking pushes it beyond the pale by including the love slave thing. I know this is a weird thing to get pissy about, and can be probably summed up by cultural differences, but fuck this shit! It's bullshit that is being played up as some kind of dramatic tension when there is no tension here. This duel is so low tension, they literally only show 2 turns from it. Or 3 turns. It's like 2 or 3 turns. I think it's... Wait, hang on. Yeah, it's actually 4 turns, excuse me. Because Vivian attacks Dark Magician, then Yugi places down Big Shield Gardener and Mirror Force, then Vivian destroys Big Shield Gardener and tries to go for game. We'll talk about that in a second, because I love the way that the way that she's blocked with that. And then Yugi declares there is no next turn and defeats her with Dark Paladin. So, 4 turns. That was it. So, is there anything else? One minor thing I want to mention. I want to circle back to Leon and Rebecca's duel for a quick sec. There is one last thing I want to mention about that duel. Negate attack is a spell card again. At least it's a quick play spell. Hell, I know that's such a weird thing to get hung up on, but it bugs me. Moving on. So, as I mentioned, Vivian basically destroys Dark Magician. Yugi somehow got Dark Magician on the field. Dragon Lady is beefed up by that sword, and then that sword allows her to attack but deal half damage to Yugi. Yugi on the second on any direct attacks. So that's why Yugi lost the amount that he did, right? Because he lost 1,400. He basically lost 1,700 points because apparently she had only done 500 points prior. Shrug. So then Dragon Lady destroys Big Shield Gardener, and then she uses a spell card to that special spell card to stop Mirror Force. And then Karibo is used in the way that it's actually meant to be used. Battle damage is reduced to 0 by a direct attack. I've already mentioned the whole stop damage from monsters thing that the anime pulls, but apparently Karibo's also got another move that it can use on the field, which is weird, but whatever. Weird. It's all weird crap. But yeah. So then Vivian is like, "Oh, how dare you block my attack? You just wait until my next turn." And Tem just declares there is no next turn. He says in the sub you won't get another turn, but in the dub he literally says word for word there is no next turn. Heard, I'm going to defeat you on this turn. Heard. And Vivian is just like, "How?" And it's like, "You're about to find out." All right. And what's funny is that this is a similar play that'll actually happen with Kaiba in the next duel. Fun fact, because he summons Skilled Dark Magician. This is the monster that I mentioned that has a tie into real life stuff. Because Steve, the one who does my thumbnails, actually used to play a spellcaster deck, and this was one of the monsters in it. You know. And this is exactly the kind of play that we would actually do. Ew. Summon Skill Dark Magician, activate 3 spell cards, and then sack it to bring out Dark Magician. Freaking love it. In this case, the 3 spells in question are Pot of Greed, Emblem of Dragon Destroyer, which actually calls a Buster Blader to your hand, either from the deck or the graveyard, which I actually find kind of interesting. It's kind of the first time. That's the first time we've ever had a what I like to call a search only spell. Hell, in other words, the only purpose is to search a card. Oh wait, no, I'm wrong, aren't I? Yeah, I am, because Tune Table of Contents. Okay, so this is the second one that we've had. It's in the same vein as Tune Table of Contents. My bad. Then Yugi's third spell card is Monster Reincarnation. In the anime, apparently it returns it to the deck, but in the real card game, it returns it to your hand. Not that it matters, because Skill Dark Magician summons from either the hand or the field, or even the graveyard, which kind of meant that the Monster Reincarnation was only being played for the sake of the third spell, so shrug, I guess. So then Yugi fuses into Dark Paladin. And it fuses into Dark Paladin, and explains that Dark Paladin receives 500 extra attack points for every dragon that is in the graveyards. And because Vivian used a quick play spell card that had her send 4 dragons to the graveyard so that she could actually have game on board with her Dragon Lady, even with her attack points cut in half, Dragon Lady's attack points being cut in half, well, she basically declares, there's in the dub, there's literally a gag the dub has that I absolutely love. "No way, I just sent 4 dragons to my graveyard. It's not fair." Oh, it's quite fair. And then when Dark Paladin delivers the blow, game over. God, I love that. That was what tipped it in the dub's favor. Fucking love it. Then then we see that Kaiba has caught on. Oh, I prefer the chicken gag in the dub. Oh, quit worrying and have some of this chicken. Ugh, what kind? Sesame! Sesame chicken is really good. Make no mistake. Love it. And then they finally arrive at Rebecca's duel. Tem actually senses Leon's spirit in the sub, which is interesting. And then Rebecca basically shoves the point right into the Dub's camp by blaming Yugi, while the gang blames Grandpa for them being so damn late. And that's it. as I said, not a bad episode, not the worst episode we've covered, but one that I've actually been looking forward to talking about for quite a while, mostly because as I've been wanting to talk about the no there is no next turn thing that of course would become prevalent in Arc 5 and become a catchphrase in Arc 5 pretty much, and in the whole dub dub dialogue of it's not fair, oh it's quite fair, which is honestly my favorite line from a Tem in the entire series. Oh, it's quite fair. Well, okay, no, I tell a lie. There's actually one more line he will say. It's my favorite line so far, but from a Tem so far. But there is one more that I actually like, though admittedly that won't be until the very end of the show. Yugi, the real test will now begin. If you know, you know. Anywho, oh yeah, that's a brawl in a small town. And the end of Vivian Wong outside of a cameo during the credits. Outside of a cameo during the credits, I think the dub actually rearranges some stuff, so I'm actually waiting on that. So we'll see. But yeah, in the only time we're gonna see Vivian again is when she has a cameo in the credits. Edits. The cameo in the credits is not the plot hole. Is not the plot hole cameo, by the way. Hey, we have to wait 2 more weeks for me to mention that. And yes, I do still call it the plot hole cameo because, whatever. I seriously just wish Mai was in this damn arc, but whatever. Beggars can't be choosers, but they can write rewrites. Get their friends together for a rewrite project, so. I know I keep talking that up. It's because I want to do that. I so want to do that. Because God knows the fucking Trek rewrite project hasn't gotten off the ground at all. Oh, but anyways. Alright. So that's it. That is a brawl in a small town. I feel like I've been talking for a decent chunk of time as I turn my monitor back on. And I've been talking. Oh, wow. I have been talking longer than I thought, even with the cat interrupting me. That's interesting. Uh, Also, the blue glow is my computer that's right there. I should probably see about trying to fix the orientation on that. Yeah, but I'll do that off camera, obviously. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Next time, we get to my favorite duel in the entire. Would I say it's my favorite duel of the entire show? No, I would say it's probably my third or fourth favorite duel of the entire show. The finals get interrupted because Kaiba's finally figured out who Siegfried is. Until then, this is Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one. See you in the next one. Which really should have had its dub title swapped out with the final title of this arc, but we'll talk about that later. Blue Wolf Alex the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one. Duel stand by.